Music is powerful. It can inspire. It can haunt. It can bring people together, or leave something behind that should have never been recorded in the first place. Most songs are meant to be heard. This one wasn't. In 2025, whispers spread about a project that no one was supposed to know about. A lost album. A collection of songs that were recorded, and then erased. Not because of creative differences. Not because of label disputes. But because something was wrong with the music itself. It was called Echoes of the Abyss. An album that, according to those who worked on it, should have never existed. The producers walked away without a word. The sound engineers left the industry. And the artist at the center of it. He refused to acknowledge it was ever real. For a while, it was nothing more than a rumor. A ghost story in the music world. Until one day, a track leaked. No title. No explanation. Just an audio file uploaded by an anonymous source. People listened out of curiosity. But what they heard wasn't just music. It was something else. Something that didn't end when the song stopped playing. Because those who listened say they weren't alone anymore. For decades, lost albums have fascinated the music world. Unreleased demos, unfinished projects, tracks that were shelved and forgotten. But Echoes of the Abyss was different. It wasn't just abandoned, it was erased. There were no official announcements. No press leaks. No digital footprint. But those close to the industry whispered about what happened. In late 2024, Will Smith had been working on something new. A departure from his usual sound. Private sessions. Late-night recordings. A project that, according to those involved, felt different from the start. Engineers reported strange interference during playback, distortions that weren't in the original recordings. Voices in the mix that no one had recorded. At first, it was dismissed as a technical glitch. But then, something happened that no one could explain. During a final playback session, one of the producers, an industry veteran with decades of experience, stood up mid-session and walked out. He left his equipment, his notes, his phone, and never returned to the studio. Days later, the project was shut down. Files were wiped. Contracts were voided. Echoes of the Abyss ceased to exist. But despite every attempt to erase it, one track survived. And when it leaked, those who listened described something unsettling. Because the song wasn't just music. It was changing. Every time someone played it, the lyrics weren't the same. The melody shifted. And in the silence between the notes, some claimed they could hear something else. Something listening back. At first, the leak was dismissed as a hoax. A fabricated mystery designed to stir up attention. But then, people started listening. And things started happening. The first reports were subtle. Listeners described feeling uneasy, like they were being watched. Some claimed their speakers emitted faint static even after the song ended. A few noticed whispers, so quiet they almost seemed imagined, buried beneath the music. Then, the incidents became harder to ignore. One user, a music producer, claimed that after playing the track on his studio monitors, his software began corrupting files, audio warping on its own. When he tried to delete the track, his system crashed. A podcast host, who played a short clip during an episode, reported that his recording equipment malfunctioned. The episode's audio was intact, except for one thing. At the exact moment the track played, a second voice, one not belonging to anyone in the room, could be heard muttering something. A phrase spoken in reverse. When played forward, it said only 2 words. Keep listening. More incidents followed. A college student who streamed the song woke up to find his phone playing it on loop, even though his battery had died hours before. A journalist researching the leak started receiving calls from an unknown number. When he answered, all he heard was breathing. And then, the first disappearance happened. A YouTuber, known for covering music industry conspiracies, uploaded a deep dive into Echoes of the Abyss. In his final video, he claimed to have obtained a second track, one that no one else had heard. He promised to reveal it. But less than 24 hours later, his channel was gone. His social media accounts wiped. His last known location. Untraceable. No statement from friends. No reports from family. He had simply vanished. And the only clue left behind was his final post. A single message. It's not just a song. By now, the pattern was undeniable. The people who listened to the leaked track didn't just hear music, they experienced something else. Something that didn't behave the way sound should. Audio files corrupted. Devices malfunctioned. Listeners reported hearing things in their own homes, faint murmurs, distant echoes, noises they couldn't trace. Some dismissed it as paranoia. Others weren't so sure. Then came the timestamps. Multiple listeners, from different parts of the world, reported that when they replayed the leaked track, the runtime wasn't always the same. Sometimes, it was a few seconds longer. Other times, it was shorter. And in each case, the song itself had changed. The tempo would slow down unexpectedly. Words that weren't in the original lyrics would appear, sometimes whispered, sometimes sung in a voice that didn't belong to Will Smith or any known backup vocalist. A group of audio engineers decided to analyze the track, convinced they could debunk the claims. What they found made no sense. There were hidden frequencies embedded in the music, ones that weren't typical for human speech or instrumentation. Some were beneath the threshold of human hearing. Others, when isolated, formed a pattern that looked structured. Like a message. One engineer attempted to decode it, separating the frequencies, running them through spectral analysis software. After hours of work, he managed to extract a single phrase. A string of distorted words, barely comprehensible. But when he played them back, he swore he heard his own name. He never spoke about Echoes of the Abyss again. And within a week, he left his job without explanation. By now, it was clear, Echoes of the Abyss wasn't just an unfinished album. It was something else entirely. Something no one could explain. But the question remained, where did it come from? Officially, there was no record of its production. No studio logs. No leaked demos. No producer credits. But buried deep in industry archives, there was one clue, an abandoned recording session at an undisclosed studio in late 2024. The session was booked under a false project name. No official staff. No paperwork. The only connection. A single engineer, listed as present for one night only. That engineer was contacted. He refused to talk. Then, without warning, he left the country. But a former intern, someone who had been working in the studio at the time, spoke, under the condition of anonymity. According to them, something happened during that session. Something no one was willing to acknowledge. The recordings began as normal. Routine takes. But after a few hours, the sound started to shift. Equipment malfunctioned. Instruments fell out of tune on their own. And then, there was the voice. Not Will Smith's. Not any backup singers. A voice that no one in the room had recorded. At first, they assumed it was bleed through from another track. But when they isolated the vocals, the room fell silent. Because the voice was speaking. It wasn't singing. It wasn't following the music. It was responding. Some believed it was a glitch. Others weren't so sure. But the session ended abruptly. The files were wiped. And just like that, Echoes of the Abyss disappeared. Or at least, it was supposed to. Because if the leak was real, if even a fragment of that recording survived, then it meant one thing. Whatever was speaking that night, never left. The warnings were ignored. The leaks were dismissed as hoaxes. But those who listened, really listened, knew the truth. The track wasn't just unfinished. It wasn't just lost. It was waiting. The strange alterations, the voices buried in the mix, the changing runtime, none of it should have been possible. Music doesn't rewrite itself. Lyrics don't change after they've been recorded. And yet, Echoes of the Abyss was still evolving. Some believed it was a curse. Others thought it was something worse. Because the final anomaly, the one no one could explain, wasn't in the audio. It wasn't hidden in frequencies or distorted vocals. It was in the listeners themselves. One Reddit user claimed that after playing the track, they started hearing whispers when no one else was around. Another said they found phrases from the song scrawled in their own handwriting, even though they had no memory of writing them. And then, there were the disappearances. The YouTuber who tried to expose the track. Gone. The journalist investigating the origins of the album. Missing. A former producer who once worked on the project. Found weeks later, wandering a highway at night, refusing to speak. But the most unsettling part? The track was still spreading. Every time someone listened, it changed. Every time someone talked about it, another version appeared. Different lyrics. Different sounds. As if it was adapting. As if it was learning. And if the pattern continued, if the rumors were true, then Echoes of the Abyss wasn't just a lost album. It was something alive. And it was listening. The leaked track has disappeared from most platforms. Accounts that uploaded it. Banned. Forums that discussed it. Deleted. Those who still have a copy refuse to share it. But people are still hearing it. Not online. Not on streaming services. Not on hidden forums. In their own homes. Some claim they hear faint traces of it in white noise, on dead radio stations, in the hum of their televisions, even in the silence between songs on their playlists. Others say they wake up to their phones playing something, even when their devices are powered off. And then, there are the ones who never sought it out, people who never heard of Echoes of the Abyss, never searched for it, never played a single second of the leaked track. But somehow, they know the melody. They hum it absent-mindedly. They find words from the lyrics written in notebooks they don't remember using. Some even swear they've dreamed about the song, heard it playing somewhere in the distance, just out of reach. No one knows how far it's spread. No one knows if it can be stopped. But there is one final warning, one last, unexplained phenomenon. In every case where the song resurfaced, where someone claimed to have heard it without playing the track themselves, it always started the same way. A faint whisper. A single phrase. Keep listening.